Hey, I'm Will, and I love Star Trek.
I'm Caleb, and I love Fallout.
And we're watching Star Trek chronologically so that this guy over here can love Star Trek just like me.
Yeah, maybe.
So let's get into the review, dudes.
Risk. Risk is our business.
Out there. That way.
What happened?
Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
Rock and roll!
6.
We're not afraid of diversity. We don't persecute it, we embrace it.
At least I won't die alone.
Join our Federation of Planets. And reach for the stars.
Those were the days.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Welcome to another Trek review, where each week we talk about Star Trek. And this week we're talking about the Star Trek Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly Part 2, which is from Season 4 of Star Trek Enterprise, Episode 19. It originally aired April 29th, 2005. It is a teleplay by Michael Sussman, a story by Manny Coto, and it was directed by Martin V. Rush. The synopsis for In a Mirror Darkly Part 2 is: in the Mirror Universe, the destruction of Enterprise leaves the crew stranded aboard the USS Defiant, a ship from a future parallel universe where a governing body known as the United Federation of Planets reigns, inspiring T'Pol to speak out against the tyranny of the Terran Empire. So that's the general information for In a Mirror Darkly. But before we move on to the review, let's ask Caleb what he thinks of the episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. You know what? I didn't enjoy it as much as the first part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I still enjoyed it, obviously. There's a couple things that I just didn't really like overly care about. And there's a couple parts where it's like I don't really know like what they're building up to, and then I feel like it ends pretty abruptly.
Yeah.
And that kind of that ending kind of ruined any like super like over, you know, like because last week I was like, you know, fangirl.
Yeah.
This week I still like really enjoy it as like a two-parter. And it probably plays a lot better if you watch them together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked it. I'll give it a 6 out of
Ooh.
10.
6
And
out of 10.
last week for me was like a 10 out of 10. So
Okay.
this
That's
would have
all
been
right.
like a 7 or an 8, but that ending for me knocked it down a few pegs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, very good. Yeah. So this is our subscriber comment section. We've had no new public subscribers, but we did have a comment on our previous Star Trek Enterprise podcast, and it's from my office. He says, some thoughts. I think this is the most amped I've seen Caleb when reviewing an episode. This episode is definitely one of the highlights of Enterprise. The Vulcan captain of the Mirror Universe was going to do a 23andMe test to settle the canon issues around being related to Spock, but getting shot put a hole in his plans. And then he says, okay, enough out of me. The bridge is yours, Captain. And then the thing that I thought was also funny that this other account, Kali Mambu Mbenga,
Yeah.
wrote, Mambu's cave is yours, Captain. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty funny.
it was pretty funny. So here's a really funny thing that comment ended up like sparking from my office's thing, end up sparking this idea that I was like, yeah, actually, it settles the debate. So Vulcan captain that comes off of the ship can't be a relative to Spock because Zephyrin Cochrane very most likely kills him with that shot, right?
Yeah.
And if he is a relative to Spock, like Spock is alive in the mirror universe later.
Right.
So therefore, it's extremely unlikely that they're related to each other.
Now, here's the argument I'll give against it.
Okay.
Are we certain that this mirror universe is the same mirror universe? Because I think if there's multiple universes, like a multiverse of timelines, I think it's probably very common that humanity takes this path in multiple mirror universes over the Federation of Planets. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was almost wondering if there's, if there can be multiple mirror universes.
Yeah, there's no way of saying that there wouldn't be. I feel like the same way that Discovery does better in a parallel adjacent timeline, and Strange New Worlds does better in a slightly off kilter timeline than the Prime timeline. And there's been this debate in my own head that maybe perhaps Enterprise should be there too because of the temporal Cold War and some things that happen in the series that like don't really get talked about like ever. Like the Zindi attack never gets addressed. And like the Borg, like they see the Borg drones and it's like that's never like they're like when the Borg show up later, they're not like, oh yeah, we remember Captain Archer like talking about these things.
Yeah.
There's no, and I get
they were discovered on Earth.
Right.
Their bodies on Earth.
There's certain things in the series that it probably plays better to make Enterprise an adjacent timeline and literally let the new timeline be like Enterprise, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and let Kirk, Picard, Cisco, and Janeway be the original timeline. But at the same time, the only argument I give is all of the showrunners, people, and writers and producers moved on from Voyager to Enterprise. And that was like the stretch from Next Generation to Enterprise. That was the stretch of Star Trek that they all purposely wrote together, like all together.
Yeah.
And when I was reading the background information for this episode, like they fully intend for it to connect to the Kirk stuff and later Mirror Universe stuff. Like that's their intention with writing this.
Oh, so there's even more.
There is more Mirror Universe stuff coming.
All right, sweet.
But you probably won't get to it for like 5.5 years.
Thank God. I hate it. So that's good.
Yeah. Technically, you would have gotten a lot more in Discovery. Because they do a lot more of this in Discovery. They talk about
it as much.
Yeah. They talk about Archer and the Defiant in Discovery.
Oh, interesting.
Because they flip into the mirror universe and then they make they realize about it, and they literally are like, "Isn't this the thing that the Enterprise, like Archer, and all this stuff?" So,
Well, here's the thing for me. It's interesting because it's like I enjoy the mirror universe,
mhm.
um, but I think it has to be like the right people. So it's like the original series. I really enjoyed the mirror universe episode. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then now that I'm watching the mirror universe with like the Enterprise, which is like my favorite show,
right,
and those characters, I think that's why I've really like attached to it.
yeah,
It's super fun to get to see everybody be like just the worst versions of themselves.
yeah, yeah.
But like I guess I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched Discovery, but it's like I just as of right now, like I wouldn't care to go watch the mirror stuff because like I don't really care about
Right, right.
the crew, you know.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think that's why I'm such a fangirl of the mirror universe.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's difficult is, Strange New Worlds might be able to do it,
That would be cool.
but it's
That
like
would be cool. Yeah.
it's hard because they're trying to be more true to
Mhm.
canon, and so it's like you'd have to do an episode like this where it just cut to,
Yeah.
and it's instead of it being a thing where they visit the
Well,
mirror universe, it's like
if
it's
you can
just those.
do if they can do an episode where like Lon has to go into the past and save her grandfather, then I
Oh,
think they can branch off and do something crazy, you know?
you would think so,
Yeah. That would be cool.
but
That'd be super cool. But for me, the way that this connects with the original series episode, I mean, it's just like so like perfect. Like it's just a
well, to me, the best thing is that they could do is with Strange New Worlds is literally have it be a single episode, and then have them do their stuff, and then at the very end of the episode, like Kirk kills Pike, and he
mm,
takes control of the Enterprise,
ooh,
and then
yeah.
that's the setup for the Mirror Mirror episode because that's what it says, that he took command from Fleet Captain Pike. He killed
Oh
him
man,
to
that'd
take
be
over
so
the
good.
Enterprise. So it'd be like we
That'd
get
be
to
pretty sweet.
maybe even end the episode with them going down to the planet. Like he
Mm.
kills Pike and then flash forward, and then it's them getting into the transporter room to beam, and then the episode ends because the Mirror Universe picks up. Kind of like a Rogue One where it's like
Oh
moments
yeah,
before the
right
episode
before
starts.
Vader boards. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. Plus, I would love to see Ensign Mount get to just act like a complete
Terrible.
jerk. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing too. Is like Scott Bakula is so good in this episode, like more so than last episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's just like
He's
really
terrible.
digs in. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. I think the reason that I enjoy like this Enterprise Mirror Universe specifically is because in the first like season of Enterprise, it's so much like the Vulcans are like crippling humanity's like
Oh.
discovery and stuff,
Hmm.
and almost to the point where it's like because that's Archer's thing is he's like you're holding us back and it's all this stuff, and it's funny to see like the reverse of that where it's like humanity is like a huge threat
Mm.
to like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So
do.
it's like
Yeah.
this contrast, and it's like you're almost like happy about it, but you're also like this isn't, the Federation
That's
is good, but this
right.
is a little like getting to see Archer go around and like blow up rebels. You're kind of like, I kind of like this. I kind of like this.
Yeah. Well, there's always that little kid mentality in all of us of
Hmm.
just like you have these wimpy ships, and then this big massive ship comes in and
Yeah,
it's just easily blowing things up, and it's like
blows
that.
it up. Yeah,
There's like a fun aspect to that. It's
yeah,
terrible. It's terrible in the
yeah.
context
All
of
right.
what's happening in the episode, but visually and also just like I don't know, it's just fun.
It is fun. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I didn't realize how much bigger like the Defiant is than, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like other
Hmm.
ships.
Yeah, it's big.
It's hard to like put them in scale because they're always in space, so it's like it's hard to see like the
Yeah,
scale of stuff,
yeah,
Because you watch the original series, it just looks like this little tiny like little ship, flying around doing stuff.
right.
But like the NX-01 and the Avenger are like this compared to, the whole
Yeah,
Defiant ship. I was like, oh wow,
and that's what's really funny. As Star Trek goes on, the ships just get so much
bigger
more
and bigger.
bigger,
You
just
know what's funny
bigger and
though
bigger.
is the bridge stays the same size.
Yeah, when we get to TNG,
Well,
you'll
Picard, I remember Picard's being pretty
Picard's is
big.
like huge in
But
comparison
like
to
the NX and
the Defiant, right? Yeah,
yeah, is like pretty much the same circular
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
size.
yeah. And that's where you. That's what they had to do, right? Because they're doing in the writers' minds and the producers and set designers are like, okay,
They're leading
this
up to that, yeah.
series goes to Kirk, and Next Generation is like the future of Kirk. So it's like,
That's why this is so fun to me too, because it's like you have the NX-01 and it's like, it's more modern because it came out in the 2000s.
right.
But now you have these people leaving that ship and they're on board the Defiant and they're like, I don't know how any of this technology works. And then
Yeah,
but then of course all of a sudden they know how everything works immediately.
yeah, yeah. I
To Paul,
totally.
she's reading codes and getting codes with little gumdrop buttons, and it's like, how would you know what? None of these are labeled. I don't know. What do they do? They're all colors. They're all color
Right.
coded. Like, I just
Yeah.
love that. I love that. Like, because like that is the future. That is like
Oh
the
yeah.
next step. It's always been funny to me. So seeing them
Yeah.
like interact now with like a future ship, and it's just brightly lit and crazy colors. And,
It's super good. No, it's
yeah.
super, super good.
Although in the mirror universe, I don't think the next step would be all this brightly lit
No,
stuff.
no, no.
That's pretty funny.
The ship designs and discovery for the mirror stuff is pretty decent.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in there that they do that's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so we can jump into the review. For me, the only thing that I had was that it because the intro is kind of fast.
Yeah.
The only thing I had was that it's actually pretty decent. It's pretty nice to have like Enterprise era like EV suits like on a
Yeah.
TOS.
The other thing that I picked up in the intro this week was I really like that shot where it's a CGI person, but he's wearing the EVA suit and he's
Oh,
planting the flag.
he's
He's
putting
planting
the
the flag
flag.
on the
Yeah,
moon.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
They put a lot of effort into that opening. Yeah.
It's cool to see the Enterprise cast in their positions on the bridge
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
of
Where
you
they
know
should be. Yeah.
yeah of the Defiant. It's really cool.
Yeah, because like Malcolm was at Chekhov's station and
Hmm.
Travis was at Sulu's. Trip
Yeah,
was at Scotty's and T'Pol was at Spock's. I
yeah,
don't think anybody was at O'Hara's in the beginning, but later Hoshi goes there.
yeah. Hoshi takes over that. Yeah.
And then Archer, obviously, and the
You know what's funny? You know what's funny too is the NX-01 bridge is like opposite
oh yeah.
because Archer sits in the middle and
Yeah.
Reed and
There is an auxiliary engineering station sometimes where Trip has set up like up in the front right next to Malcolm.
Mhm.
He has
and
sat up there.
T'Pol is over here on the comms, right? Isn't
Yeah,
she over
she's
in
on the
control?
left hand side, in between where Hoshi. So
Yeah.
instead of Uhura, who's behind Kirk, Hoshi's like
Hoshi's in the front.
front left.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then T'Pol's back there.
right. And Spock is like hard right to Kirk,
Yeah.
but
He's all the way over here.
Archer, she's like hard left.
Yeah.
But
So that's
obviously, the navigator, the helmsman, is still like right
He's all in
front
the
of them.
front. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah. Yeah, because Travis sits right there, right in the
Right.
front there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's just cool seeing them all like on the bridge,
Yeah, totally.
I enjoyed that.
So we come back from the opening with all the awesome mirror universe stuff,
Yeah.
and
Terra Prime.
yeah, we get to see 23rd century weapons against 22nd century technology.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, where he's just like fire, blow them up.
Does this thing have rear torpedoes? Like, yeah. Use them.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's funny. It's like you could really see that like basically if Spock had all systems operational on the ship, like there would have been no issue at all in that episode.
right. Yeah, there's a thing in trivia that I wasn't gonna read, but I thought it was interesting. Was they say that in the TOS, like they never have aft torpedoes
Oh,
or aft
I didn't think
phasers,
I didn't think so.
but the writers and people were like, but if the NX-01 does, then it, we
Obviously, they
we can have the
forward they were
Defiant have one. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe it's just a thing like they never were in a position where they needed to use it.
I also think it saved them money to not have to animate another part of the ship shooting phasers. It was like
Yeah.
all they had to do was use the same still of the
Oh,
Enterprise
yeah.
and then just shoot lines coming off of it or a torpedo coming off of it and be like, oh god, it's blowing things up,
Yeah.
We're now in the 2000s. It's like you got to show everything. It's like if he's saying aft torpedoes, right?
Yeah. I really liked how they just shot one of the Tholian ship
Oh
and it just
yeah,
like destroyed like half of the web. Like I thought that
yeah,
was really cool, like visual, you know.
yeah. It was actually yeah.
And then the explosions were pretty cool.
Yep.
I enjoy because because I'm a Star Wars fan, so it's like the ship explodes like when a TIE fighter explodes.
Oh yeah,
It's very much like it just turns into like pieces.
yeah.
And so like they do that with the base, they do that later on with the other ship, and it's just like and like you see like parts of it, still
Right.
floating out in the sky. I really like that. It's kind of cheesy, but it's like
Still nice.
it's pretty cool, yeah. Yeah, so I wrote down Scott Bakula is great. And I really enjoy everybody wearing like their I thought their uniforms, like the original uniforms.
Yeah.
Even though I thought that was very funny that they were like, we got to get out of here. And then they're like, well, I should probably go to engineering and see what kind of like clothes are in here. Because like, Archer, when Hoshi walks into Archer's like captain's quarters, he's wearing,
Yeah.
the green gear.
He's wearing the green tunic. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I get that. But then like later on, like Trip shows up and he's like wearing Scotty's uniform. It's like,
Right.
when did he take the time to go put on it? But
Yeah.
I thought they looked great. Like they all look so good, like in there,
Yeah.
like even like the old style like deltas that are like sewn on,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
The
really enjoyed
Defiant.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We get a computer voice working.
Yeah.
That was good.
Computer working. I like that scene when they were looking up like their mirror
Yeah.
versions of themselves, and it's like, especially Archer, he has like all these accomplishments, and he's like, God,
Yeah.
this guy's a loser. What a loser.
Yeah. So the really cool thing is like fans and people are able to push pause on that scene and read it, and you get to see what, because it's canon, so you get to read what becomes of Archer.
And that's before the finale.
Right. So when you look in there, when you look in the thing, it says in his bio like what year he becomes like Federation president. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what's cool too, is like they're all like long dead by that point in
Right.
in the mirror.
There is a thing in his bio. I don't know if it's on that page or if it came out from the writers, but there's a thing on his bio that they take from it that he died a day after
Hmm.
the original Constitution class ship was christened under Robert April.
Oh wow, that's cool though.
It's pretty cool. He gets the most, obviously, information. Like, there's some stuff about her because people
Yeah.
have read the actual like screen used thing about her.
Who did
But
she marry?
I don't know if it says it on the image. It
Is
might. I
that
just don't
is that
remember who it
canon?
was. Yeah. This is the Defiance computers. So therefore, on the Defiance computers, they had Archer, like this, all of the people from the past are real.
Yeah.
So it's not like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
it solidifies Enterprise being the past for for TOS
Kirk's
for
timeline.
Kirk stuff, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yep.
is cool.
I like that. I thought that was cool though.
Yeah, really, really nice touch and a thing that you would probably do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
it
yeah.
was
You.
realistic that these people were digging into the computer to like find out about the ship.
I like too that the information on the computer ended up becoming like bad for everybody. Like
Mm,
basically it was like propaganda. Like I
right,
don't want anybody reading this because like I don't want anybody getting any ideas from it.
right, right. There was
Yeah.
that scene though when he's in the thing, and I really liked how Scott Bakula did it. And he was like, "Peacemakers."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
He
it's
was
really funny.
really,
He
really into it.
hated
Yeah,
saying it. Yeah.
yeah.
Great men are not peacemakers.
Yeah. So then the other thing
Hmm.
in this scene, it was just like all of a sudden they were like, okay, so those escape pods are fine. There are people. I'm like, okay, great.
Hmm.
So then it was like, of course, it was like everybody else of the cast. It was Hoshi and
Yeah,
you know
flocks and yeah,
everybody. Yeah, they're all fine.
yeah.
But then they were like, oh, there's something, something stealing chip parts, and you're like, oh, interesting. And but then they were like, oh yeah, bring up one of the slaves. And I was like, okay, so now there's slaves.
Yeah,
And then it was like very briefly explained, like, yeah, they were scavenging the ship.
right.
They were all scavenging the ship. And I was like, okay. Wow, that's like they didn't show any of that or like explain any of that. They just immediately like, oh yeah,
No,
they were all like scavenging the ship and they were like friends with this guy now that's like stealing stuff and
right.
oh yeah,
Well,
by
they
the way,
were.
it's a Gorn. He's
It's
a
a
Gorn.
Gorn.
It's like, oh, so this is where the like 2000 CGI Gorn pictures that I've seen come from.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Hmm. I almost, when we originally were doing the RPG, I almost sent you
Yeah.
this image to be like, this is what the Gorn looked like in
Yeah.
Archer's timeline to make Lozesh look like that instead of the
Yeah.
game. But
Yeah.
then I was like, if I send this to him, he's gonna be like, when does this happen?
Yeah, because I've seen everything.
And I was gonna be like, I don't want to have to explain it to him.
Fun. It was pretty fun that there was a Gorn running amok on the ship. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, so before you actually physically see him,
Yeah.
we get Commander Kelby. Do you remember Commander Kelby?
The blue guy? No.
No, 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 no.
No.
The guy that like
Commander
is in the
Kelby.
Jeffries tube that Trip is like yelling at.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy in the normal Enterprise that replaces Trip on the Enterprise when he goes to the Columbia.
Oh, wow.
He's the chief
Yeah, that's
engineer
right.
when Trip isn't on the Enterprise.
Not the one that they were like fighting over the Orion, right? Not that guy.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Remember when he comes back and he does the wire? He does the wire, space wire through the between the two ships.
Oh, yeah.
Trip, and then he gets back there and he's like, "What the heck's going on? What did you do to my ship?" And he's yelling at the
Yeah.
guy. It's that guy.
That's right.
It's
That's
the
cool.
and then I read about it in trivia, but the Jeffries tubes go to like this small corridor.
Hmm.
Like you never see that in TOS. Like you never see where the Jeffries tubes go.
No. Yeah, I really like that. I have that like later on as a thing, but it's just like the set of the Defiant is like amazing to me.
Yeah. And then the last thing I
He's-
had was that blue alien guy's please was kind of brutal.
Yeah.
And they were like talking to him. He's like, please.
I like that he had red blood still. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
So when Phlox was like, "Oh, some kind of lizard, some kind of lizard creature," and so I wrote down Gorn question mark, and then like the next note I have is, "Yep, Gorn." I heard everything you said.
yeah. Well, right then that's the best part because we come back to the next
Yeah.
after that commercial thing, and the two things they show that really cool schematics of the Defiant, like Malcolm's showing the huge, like where he thinks the reptile Gorn thing is.
Yep.
And then they show the Gorn, and he's like, but then the thing is like translating for him again.
Yeah, that was cool. My first note is Archer seeing Archer. I like that.
Did you like it? I thought it was.
I didn't really
weird.
get it. I didn't really get it. Because it was like he was bad. He was like planting bad ideas in him, but it was also wearing like the Enterprise uniform,
the
normal Enterprise. Yeah. So I was like, "What's?"
I literally wrote the first note I had is the dual Archer thing is kind of weird, and then at the end of my notes it says, "Is the dual Archer supposed to be Prime Archer, but a warped version of him because it's Mirror Archer thinking about him?"
Yeah, it's weird. It was weird. I didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. And it also seems like he was leading him down a path that led to,
right,
his death, which was interesting. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
What that was. It's like, so now like at the end of the episode, I was like, I wonder if he was being like poisoned the whole time and he was seeing things.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Like I don't know, who knows?
Yeah, it was weird. It was strange.
Kind of a sucker for that though, in like shows where it's
he sees something,
seeing, a version of themselves from their future or from their past, like when Rick Grimes was seeing like Lori out in the like I love that kind of stuff, but that's just me.
Just
but I don't get it.
Stuff and things,
yeah. But it's like like you said, like I don't get it. I didn't really understand why it was there. It wasn't really being used well.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, it was a lot more work for like Bakula because now he's got to do these scenes in this uniform, and now he's got to do the scene in this uniform, and
Yeah, and he's got to act because it's obviously on a green screen because he's like,
because he's got to like float around the room.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then I wrote down, it's a trap.
yeah. Same. I wrote that the Gorn's trap. This trap worked.
Yeah, it was good. And Reed pretty much was useless in this.
Well, yeah, he's a red shirt.
I know, right? Isn't that funny? I failed you, Captain. I failed you.
Yeah, I thought the Gorn stuff was actually pretty decent.
I liked it.
I had forgotten up to this point that like for whatever reason in my mind, I had that the Gorn was like a much thinner, like less Gorn looking than in my memory. And I just thought like, yeah, this is kind of lame. But then when it happened, I was like, oh no, he's just a CG representation of the Gorn, and he looks more reptile like.
Yeah,
but he does all of the same things that you would expect him to do from the TOS stuff, which was like grab people and like bite them, and he bashes that guy's head into the wall. Like,
it was pretty good.
Yeah. Also, like hiding, like he's very strategic, like he is in the TOS episode.
Yeah, it was pretty good. No, I did. I liked it. I noticed on the Mako uniform, and this might be a thing on like the other arm that I've never noticed before, but the Mako logo that I know is is obviously the Mako, the shark,
right?
and on their Mako triangle patches, it's like a little skull.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I thought that's it's got to be specific to the Mirror universe, or it's either like on the other shoulder that I've never really picked up on. But I don't think so. I think that's the Mirror Mako.
Yeah, the Mirror
uniform.
universe should have just the skull on it.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, I like seeing the rifles again being used.
Oh yeah. It makes that noise when he takes it from him, right? It makes like that rattling metal noise when he takes it from him. Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Archer felt the need to do a Starlog.
Oh yeah.
Like he still has to do a Starlog.
Yeah, it's just the way Scott Bakula decides to like. He's like always talking like strained teeth.
Yeah,
like
we're on our way to this thing. And then I thought Reed was dead, and Phlox was like, yeah, he's like 50-50 at the moment. It's like, oh, okay. And then he never comes back.
no.
I thought the rebel thing is like that could be a whole like series. The rebels being like Vulcan and Andorian, like all working together, and Tellarites all working together to be like, like they're the rebellion against like Terra Prime. I thought that was like a really cool like concept.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like you could have like your own thing. They do expand upon it, but the thing that like it's kind of strange, like you were saying, is like going forward, it's like there's really not any talk about Spock and the Vulcans like being a part of like a rebel faction of humanity.
I know. Yeah.
And it is like 100 years later, and who knows,
Yeah.
And obviously Discovery touches on it, but it's just like it's an interesting
it's an interesting thing too, is like from the actions in this episode of like T'Pol and the other aliens aboard the ship, you would think moving forward now they would just say like no more are we having aliens aboard any ship.
Right.
But then, like you said, like Spock is still like second in command of the Enterprise later on. It's like, I don't know, okay.
Also, the fact that they have this Defiant ship would advance their technology tenfold. So you would think come TOS stuff, their ships would be even more advanced than when Kirk boards it with the group. You'd think, things would be.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Unless the history is that like Earth is able to defeat the Defiant. Maybe.
Seems unlikely, but yeah, maybe.
They overthrow the Empress. We'll talk about it later, but it's like, again, I was just like, this society would not function. This society would not function.
No, not at all. The last thing I had was Saval with a goatee.
It was pretty great. Yeah, I'm really happy he showed up. And when I realized that was him, I saw the Andorian on the control. I was like, oh my god, is that
Shran?
Yeah.
No.
That's what these episodes are missing for me.
Oh,
Shran.
He's probably on one of the rebel ships.
Well, he's definitely a rebel ship for sure.
Yeah.
But like being able to like see him like on the rebel ship, that would have been.
They probably didn't want to pay the man to just show up and then get blown up by the Defiant. Probably were like, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, they could have had him like swoop in and kind of like distract the Defiant in like time for like the other ships to get out of there and then leave. That would have been cool because I like Shran. I miss seeing Shran.
Yeah. So that is the halfway point. So.
Yeah.
I think we'll have you guys write in the comment section.
Death to non-Terrans.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, death to non-Terrans.
Yeah. That summarizes up the episodes.
Ooh.
Except for Phlox. Phlox is cool. He can stay.
Hey, Phlox is cool. We like him.
I never had a problem with Phlox. Remember
Yeah,
last Christmas? He gave me socks. It's like,
yeah.
I want to
That
kill every single alien. And Hoshi's like, well, yeah, but what about the doctor? He's like, well, the doctor can stay. That's
well,
fine.
that's fine.
He's pretty cool. I mean, what's the matter? What's the matter? I'm not like a monster or like a.
It's so funny. Yeah, he was like, "Oh well, that's fine."
I just like that. Like no human can like be a doctor on board
No,
because like none of them go to medical school because they're too busy like stabbing everybody in the back.
they're like, "Oh, I have to kill Phlox." Like, well, I can't let that happen.
Yeah,
He's too precious to me.
love his cranial ridges.
The thing that I thought was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like Jolene's decision for T'Pol or what they
Oh
wrote
yeah,
for T'Pol, but she was like so over the top in that scene when she's trying to communicate to Saval like what to do.
yeah. I thought so too.
I was like, this is so strange.
I like that she walks in and gives like the Vulcan salute, and he's like, "Hey, hey, woo." Wouldn't be making those kind of gestures even behind closed doors.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that was outlawed. Yeah, she really was over the top, you know.
Yeah, it was yeah.
The only thing I wrote down in this section was death to non-Terrans. I really didn't
Yeah, I
write
didn't have
anything
too
else
much
down.
either. Yeah, I only had that.
This is where he gives that
Um,
speech, right? He gives
yeah.
a speech, and
I just had that like Mirror to Paul was a little over the top with Saval, and then I had that
yeah,
the scene with Hoshi and Archer was like again pretty intense. I just kept thinking how
yeah.
weird it is for these two actors to be like going at it, and you're
Oh,
like,
the silhouette scene, yeah,
yeah,
that was
I was like,
uncomfortable.
it's like you're watching.
Oh.
It's like it feels like you're watching a father and daughter. It's like it was just weird and uncomfortable. It was like, yeah.
I've never been a concubine for an emperor before. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. I didn't have too much in this section either.
Yeah. Not too much going on in this section.
Well, then it's perfect for trivia.
Trivia!
Oh, not again. All right, now you're overacting.
So rather than continue to wear the bulky EV suits they came aboard in, they raid closets, right? And they don the uniforms.
Well, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
According to Mike Sussman, the away team beamed aboard in the EV suits mainly so that there would be a reasonable, believable explanation for why they would wear the uniforms.
Oh. Well,
So,
plus
like,
they didn't know if like that ship had oxygen in it either. It was being
right.
scavenged.
So it kind of was a plot point to put them in the suits so that they would show up. They would end up wearing.
Because don't they wear like underwear and a tank top under the EV suit?
I think they do wear like, yeah. I think they don't. I don't think they wear the uniforms. I do think they wear like underwear type stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's because their normal uniform is so like big and bulky anyway. The
Right.
full like flight suit.
Right. Discussion between Mike Sussman and Manny Koto about revisiting the Mirror Universe in a potential fifth season of Star Trek Enterprise influenced the fate of Major Reed in this episode. Sussman decided to leave open the possibility that the Mirror Reed survived being bombed, just in case the writers wanted to bring the character back in the following season.
Gotcha.
Archer's fate is similarly left open. In the episode's audio commentary, Mike Sussman comments that although Sato probably poisoned Archer, she may have possibly just drugged him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, like, even further to my point, like, you don't really know if, like, the Defiant is able to, like,
Hmm.
beat the Earth into
Yeah.
submission, you know?
It says two distinctly different sets were built to represent the Defiant's access tunnels in this episode. The
Mm.
tunnel where Kelby is killed and where Archer and his assault team later begin their hunt for the Gorn, and a tunnel where Reed and his three accompanying Makos are bombed, which also served slightly redressed as the access tunnel where Phlox attempts to sabotage the Defiant.
Oh, cool.
According to a slightly uncertain Mike Sussman, these sets were actually the access tubes from the regular NX class Enterprise, redressed to make them appear as if they were from the original series. Styling them in such a way involved the addition of distinctive perforated metal patterns, as well as use of original series colors and pipes of both sets. In homage to original series set decorator John Dwyer, a few of the Defiance's pipes, as with the Enterprise of the original series, were labeled with the initials GNDN as an in-joke indicating that each labeled component goes nowhere, does nothing.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
So you'll see that in a lot of Star Trek stuff. GNDN, like on things.
Yeah, I gotta start incorporating into the basement. That reminds me too, I like the plate on the floor that Archer reads off, like the section. I thought that was cool too.
Yep.
Everything's labeled on space, you know.
Oh yeah. Except for the console buttons.
Well, yeah, that doesn't.
So this is like a huge chunk about the Gorn, which I thought was cool. Initially, the production crew were perplexed as to how they would create the Gorn required for this episode. Michael Westmore explains, with the Gorn, in the beginning, they didn't know what direction we were going to go in. Are we going to put a man in a suit? And if we do, what modifications are you going to make so it doesn't look like the original one, which was very bulky and very hard for the actor to move around it? We played around with the idea and basically all of us came to the same conclusion. If we want to do something that's new and that's still a la Gorn, it's going to have to be an optical, not a man in the suit. This method of creating the modernized Gorn would allow it to have much more freedom of movement than had been possible with its predecessor in the original series. Subsequently, Earl Ellis, a sculptor in Michael Westmore's makeup department, created an 18-inch clay maquette of a potential Gorn design that was further developed with input from producers Manny Coto, Rick Berman, and Brandon Braga. Westmore echoes their advice, saying, well, maybe it should be a little bit more of this. The shoulders should be a little bigger. Maybe the chest should be a little bigger. It looks too much like a human. Can you extend the torso? As the final maquette was a very useful starting point for the creation of a digital model, the maquette was given to visual effects producer Dan Curry, who in turn gave it to digital effects supervisor John Teska at Eden FX. Teska was then able to transform the design into a fully animatable, computer-generated Gorn. Meanwhile, footage of stunt coordinator Vince Dedrick Jr. playing the Gorn, dressed in a fitted black leotard outfit that had white grid marks on, and acting alongside Scott Bakula, was filmed. The same shots were then repeated with Bakula alone reenacting Archer's movements in the footage. Finally, the computer-generated Gorn was added into the shots, replacing Dedrick's movements for close-up shots of the Gorn's alien hands. A pair of Gorn gloves were especially designed by Michael Westmore's makeup effects department. So there you go.
That's cool.
So they contemplated putting a man in the suit, but then they were like, no.
Yeah. I would have loved that though. Like if they used like the original Gorn suit. Like that would have been pretty cool.
I do agree. Bobby Clark, who played the Gorn in the original series in the suit,
Yeah.
and Barbara Luna, who played Marlena from the Mirror episode,
Oh yeah,
both visited the set during the filming of this.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
The scene wherein Archer makes a lengthy spiel to a group of gathered officers was filmed on February 2nd, Wednesday, 2005. During production on that scene, UPN declared that Star Trek Enterprise was being canceled at the end of the season.
Oh, fun.
As soon as the news was officially made, the production office discreetly notified the series' department heads. However, word of the cancellation quickly spread throughout the cast and crew.
That sucks.
So it's crazy to think that literally when he's up there and they're filming that, like that's when they decided to cancel it. Not that they saw it, it was just like that was the moment that they had decided to get rid of it.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Stupid.
And then the last thing that I had was the thing brought out a good point that there's no Enterprise in this episode.
Yeah,
It's like the first episode that didn't have the Enterprise in it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It had the same class of ships, though, at least.
Oh yeah.
You know. So it's like the Enterprise wasn't in it, but basically the Avenger is like the same ship.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we come back from trivia, and I don't have a ton for this, but the question I had for you was, is Caleb enjoying the ISS Avenger being alongside the USS Defiant?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just thought you would, every time they show the two of them like side by side, like
That's pretty cool.
going along. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I was saying earlier. Like I didn't realize how much bigger.
Yeah.
The NCC classes are. So that was cool.
Cool.
I did really enjoy seeing them flying together.
Good.
Even though they betray them later. That was such a stupid captain decision too by Archer. He's like, I don't want any aliens on this ship. And they're like, okay. Like, all right, put all the aliens on the Avenger. And then he was like very surprised that they all kind of like got together and tried to like take them on. It's like you gave him a whole ship. Like, are you stupid?
Yeah. It did seem a little silly to be though that they thought they had just watched that the Defiant like swoop in and like blow everything up. And it was kind of silly that they thought that their damaged NX ship was going to do like anything in return to the Defiant.
Well, yeah.
Like to me, it would have been much better for them to just try to like break away, like shoot sensors or something, and then like warp out of the way. And like now they have an NX ship and can start, like leading the rebellion with a more advanced ship.
Yeah, I guess the plan, right, is like have somebody on the inside dismantle all everything, like shields and everything, so you can actually shoot the engines out.
True.
But Trip is too good.
He's always too good.
So here's literally my notes. I have 3 notes from this section. So first one is surprised that they blew up the Avenger. I didn't see that coming for some reason.
That's one of my notes too, is Saval explodes.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Then I wrote Hoshi played Archer, and then I wrote, oh, and it's over.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, oh.
Travis and Hoshi.
Yeah. Ooh. That makes the T'Pol and Hoshi fight scene so much like better too, because T'Pol gets her pretty good by like, oh, what are you still jumping beds?
Yeah. The thing I thought about with you was like last week you said Hoshi was pretty forgettable, and I said, "Oh, I thought you were going to say Travis was pretty forgettable." And then
Yeah.
full circle, they're like the two least thought about characters end up
taking on the Empire.
Yeah.
I like that you can just declare yourself the Emperor in this universe. That's
Not a problem.
Plus, like Star Wars already has like the Empire and the Emperor, so let's do something else.
Let's settle down.
Yeah, let's calm it down. Let's at least do like supreme leaders. Like, you have 5 minutes to surrender. I am the Empire. Oh,
I read too that
can she do that? Yeah, it says right here. It says right here in Terra Prime Handbook on page 12. You at any point can declare yourself the Emperor or Empress.
Oh.
As long as you have a ship. That's true. I'm like, oh.
Oh no.
Well, stand down. Turn off the planetary missile launch.
Yeah. The thing that I didn't realize until I was like reading trivia was apparently the guy Admiral Gardner, who's like at the end and he's all angry.
I recognized him.
He's never shown in the series, but his name is always said. They always talk about Admiral Gardner in the show, but you never see him.
He was like Forrest's boss, basically.
I think so. He was like another guy working with Forrest. Yeah.
Yeah. I recognize the actor from something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's been in tons of stuff.
I just liked how like every time they would talk to like the next person in charge, they'd be like, "Oh, well, where's this guy?" And we're like, "Oh, he's dead."
Oh, he's gone.
I want to talk to this guy. Like, oh no, he's.
I mean, yeah. Case in point, right? It's like, where's Forrest? He's like, oh, he's dead. And then they're in the room talking to Black, and he's like, oh, blah blah. And then he's just like, nah, vaporize you.
I did like that scene. We didn't talk about it, but yeah, I liked how he just immediately was like, nah. He's like, he's gonna take the ship from you. You'll be lucky enough to have pilot an escape pod. I was like,
yeah.
I'll shoot you where you stand.
It is one of the more surprising things, especially because we are watching Star Trek, so most of the time people just get arrested or they escape or nothing happens to them. Yeah. And it's like, so every time something happened, you were like, oh, and then he would just be like, nah, I'm killing this guy. And you'd be like, wow.
It was refreshing, honestly.
Yeah, like you think about the Gorn too, right?
Yeah.
Like Kirk let the Gorn live in the Arena episode. And now here's Archer, like he shoots him.
Yeah, right.
Obviously it's Mirror Universe Archer, but still it was just as a
yeah, he shoots him a few times.
He certainly does.
Yeah. Well, the other funny thing too is like, in the other universe, you have like number one gets arrested because she has like some kind of like augment DNA, and it's like this big thing, In this universe, it's like, yeah, I don't really want you in charge anymore. Blam. It's like, yeah. See, now that I get.
Yeah. Well, that concludes the review. But before we end the episode, we're going to do the thing that everybody's been waiting for.
Caleb.
So, Caleb, who gets the Erica Ortegas Award for being most unlikable?
Well, I wrote down Archer.
Wow.
Now, I love Archer, and I love Scott Bakula, and I love him in this episode, but he is the worst character in this episode. He's just a bad guy. I mean, he can't, like I just said, he shoots Black. He's pretty, he's pretty horrible.
Yeah. He's kind of all over the place with how he wants to do things, and yeah.
So this week I went with a character that really is just like an unlikable character, like not like somebody I didn't like seeing on screen. It just was. He's
It's-
just. If I was in this universe or on the ship, I would really not like him.
yeah, true. Okay, who gets the Elizabeth Cutler Award for being most forgettable?
That is Malcolm Reed in this episode.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's surprising. I thought you were gonna say maybe Kelby or something when he gets sucked up into the
Nah. At least he was working.
Nom, nom.
Malcolm's all like, "Oh, I'm the Mako guy. I'm gonna."
Yeah.
He gets blown up immediately.
I
You never see him for the rest of the episode.
got to sit that one out. Who gets the Trip Tucker Award for being MVP?
I gave that to Paul this week.
Oh,
I thought she was
nice.
pretty good in this episode. She snuck those schematics,
Yeah.
and she kind of inspired the revolution. She got Phlox to join.
Yeah, she convinced him to join. And I mean, Saval
Yeah.
ends up saying the concubines thing, but really it's
Well,
because T'Pol like made Saval think about it, right?
yeah.
Okay, what gets the Shran Award for the best action sequence?
I wrote down the part the Avenger versus the Defiant.
Oh, okay.
I like that sequence pretty good. When I
It's
was
like-
watching it, I thought it was gonna be Hoshi and T'Pol,
Mhm.
but it really didn't last that long, so it was pretty
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, with the two ships fighting, it was kind of like it was like sad but also cool when they blow up that back part of the NX ship,
Yeah,
that like connecting part, and I was like,
that was pretty good.
I'm like, it's cool, but it's also like, oh no.
It also is funny because it just shows you like how like vulnerable the ships really are. Like
Yeah.
that part like connects both. So if you shoot that part, it takes out both engines, both nacelles and everything. It's basically just a bullseye on the ship, you know.
Yeah, totally.
But I like that first scene where they kind of like swoop down and they shoot choo choo choo, and then they like swoop underneath the Defiant, you know.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. What gets the NX award for some sweet ship stuff?
So I wrote down the actual like set for the Defiant in this episode.
Okay.
It's like my favorite ship stuff. It's like every part of the Defiant that they showed and like hand built. I really enjoyed that.
That's cool. Good. Yeah, it's hard not to like any of the TOS stuff, right? Yeah.
It's pretty great, yeah.
Okay, what gets the Porthos Award for the cheesiest thing of the episode?
I wrote down ending, but the ending was pretty cheesy.
Empress Sato.
Yeah, the whole scene, you know, and Archer like falls off the bed and it's like, oh man, I thought he was having, you know, something going on, and it was like, oh no.
No.
No. It's like, oh, okay. And then she like calms the earth and she's like, I'm the Empress now. And they're like, oh, and then like the title,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, what? What?
Yeah. All done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cheesy.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. That's for sure. Yeah, and finally, what gets the Enterprise Award for being the best scene in the episode?
It's when you first see Archer wearing the green captain's uniform.
And he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey."
I found it in the closet.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought that was cool. It's my favorite Kirk uniform is the green one.
Yeah.
So
Hoshi comes in and she's like, "Why are you wearing it?" He's like, "I found it in the captain's wardrobe or whatever."
yeah. Like, why would
Yeah.
they wear this garbage in the future?
It's so funny too, right? Because you had seen pictures of these guys wearing it,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're like, no, these terrible people wearing TOS.
Yeah, it is in a way, it is a little kind of like disappointing because when I saw the picture of Archer and he's kind of like smiling, you know, he's doing the thing.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, that's gonna be such a fun episode where they're all like they go into the future and they're all like,
Right.
having fun and no, that's not what it was.
Nope. He's
Oh,
wearing whatever his name is, like I forget what the Defiance captain's name
oh
is, but he's
yeah.
wearing like his clothes.
Yeah. There's a scene too when they're chasing the Gorn. They kind of like Reed kind of like steps over that woman that's like laying on the
Oh,
floor.
yeah, yeah.
And she had like the 60s hairstyle and she was wearing I was like, that was really cool. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, there was a thing in trivia about her talking about how when she was laying down and pretending to be dead, she was like, I think my uniform is way too short. She's like, I don't think it's like this can't be right. And everybody was like, no, this is correct. She was like, oh, great.
60s.
The 60s, yeah. Well, that concludes the review. And what does Caleb think? So go down to the comment section and write what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think about the Mirror Universe from the viewpoint of Enterprise. What was your best favorite scene? Things like that. Let us know down below. Next week, we are going to return to season 3 of the original series. We're going to continue our journey through season 3 of the original series so Caleb can see the conclusion of that and getting a couple other little things in there. So I think I mentioned it in the Tholian Web episode. And so now this episode is coming back. Next week's episode will be Day of the Dove.
I'm gonna miss Enterprise.
Yep, you are going to miss Enterprise.
Can you see it, Enterprise?
No.
No, I can't see it. Not allowed to see it.
So yeah, as always, if you like the video, like it. If you dislike it. Share it with all your friends and family and Trek enthusiasts. Ring that bell for notifications and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. You also can always go over to Caleb's channel, where Caleb has where he makes props and just dioramas and things of that nature. Occasionally there are podcasts of him and I over there doing other things that are not Trek related. We have been doing a monthly Dragon Ball coverage, so that's been fun. And he's been doing some things in his basement, but we can let him tell us of anything coming down the pipeline.
I might do an update next week for the room build.
I like that.
Might do an update.
He has a lot of really fun things over there that you can make yourself. He provides the patterns and basically the video on how he made it, so you can have your own in your own house for a fraction of the cost of what it would be like to probably find either a replica or some sort of like crazy recreation of it.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a lot of Star Trek stuff on there too. So
yeah, very true. Well, this has been the Retrek Review. So Caleb, send us out.
Computer and program.
Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
Computer working.
Computer turning off.
Check for any messages. Oh, yes, there is a message here. Let's see. From the captain to all crew, please do the outro of the. Oh, okay, yes. Take time on my busy doctor schedule here to record a couple things. Oh, hello. Dr. Stephen House, Chief Medical Officer aboard the USS Drake. just wanted to record a few reminders for you guys. So here we go. The Retrek Review is a Daystrom Holodeck podcast. It's produced in association with the Plastic Underground Props, hosted by Caleb Stoddard and Will Wilbur, edited by Will Wilbur. Our outro song is by Kaylee Joy Rookledge. Our theme song is by Samo Studios. And our outro song is by Tommy T. The title card art was created by Caleb Stoddard. Trophy art was created by Adrian Wilbur from Love by the Letters. The synopsis and written plot provided by memoryalpha.fandom.com. Star Trek is created by Gene Roddenberry, and all official clips and pictures are owned by Paramount Pictures. You can follow us at the Plastic Underground Props and the Daystrom Holodeck on Instagram and YouTube. So that is it. That is all I had to say. And what was that? Don't touch that.
And that'll do it for this week's episode.
Yeah.